welcome to Rough Cut Film Review. This is a review of Sin City 2. Before I start, I just want to say many apologies for this being late. I wrote this about 2 weeks ago and I just haven't got around to making it, so really sorry for the delay. Also, the 10 most recent episodes of Rough Cut Film Review are now available as MP3 on iTunes, so a big thank you to my friend Neil for doing that for me. I never would have done that in 1,000 years. I really just never would have figured it out. Something to do with FeedBurner, Dropbox, who knows, but anyway, he's done it. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. It's really kind, and what a cracking friend Neil is. So, Sin City 2. So I actually saw this on the day it was released as part of a double feature of Sin City in 2D and then Sin City 2, A Dame to Kill For, to give it its proper title, which was in 3D back to back. So thank you very much to Cineworld Cinemas, the popular cinema chain, for doing that. It was a really nice idea. I was going to say it was really enjoyable, but spoiler alert, it wasn't. So this is Robert Rodriguez, a good chum of Quentin Tarantino, and Frank Miller teaming up again years after the 2005 original Sin City came out. Much like Anchorman 2, they had a vast amount of time to work out what it was exactly they wanted to do with the sequel, and after I saw Sin City 1 as part of the double bill, I could see they really needed that time to work out what they were trying to do. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, they haven't used it wisely. Now, I don't feel particularly unkind to the original Sin City film, but I think it's fair to say it wasn't very good. So, in terms of the film, it's not a single narrative, rather a few different stories set in and around Basin City, aka Sin City. But it's all fairly uninspired, and you soon tire of the visual style and the constrained and rather plodding negativity that really needed something to elevate it in some way, but also it needed to be thematically pulled together in a more interesting and coherent way, rather than just sort of bookending a lot of stuff. Just stuff that happens to be set in Sin City. Okay, what do you want us to do with that? So here we are with Sin City 2. Again, we have an enormous ensemble cast of Mickey Rourke, Dennis Haysbert, Jessica Alba, who her career really hasn't taken off as, we might have anticipated it would. She was, at one point, it was looking about 10 years ago actually, looking like she was going to be a really big star, but some of her performances haven't justified that, and hence, what she'd be doing for the last decade, not sure. Josh Brolin's here, Rosario Dawson, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, and so on and so forth. So the actual Dame to Kill For in the subtitle is Eva Green, playing a rather similar character to the one that she played in 300 Part 2. And please check out my review of that on YouTube to get a sense of what I thought of it. And why not subscribe while you're there, treat yourself. Unfortunately here, in terms of gender politics, we are not doing at all well. Well, we weren't doing very well in 300 Part 2, but we're not doing particularly well here either. So, Sin City Part 2, women are either in need of saving or are totally messed up due to their relationships with men, and at heart we have this evil witch, this classic evil witch, Ava, played by Green, that for seemingly little to no reason uses her female witchy wiles to make men do very silly and bad things, and it's all about that manipulation of men to evil. That's the sort of thing that Shakespeare would have gone on about, and then even people back then probably would have been slightly embarrassed by it. I think it leaves them open to the accusation that the people that make this film kind of hate women. You could certainly make a case for it. This is not progressive stuff. Seeing Eva Green in such a role once, and that's 300 Part 2, was unpleasant. Twice is rather unforgivable, in fairness. If she wants to spend her career making out with severed heads, then that's her choice, I suppose, but I, for one, will not be interested in the output. So, again, we don't have a central theme. There's no central idea here. It's little bits and pieces. Some are followed on from events of the first film. At least one appears to be a prequel. I think a couple of them are prequels. And there's some semi-new stuff in there as well. First of all, I thought it would be a lot more interesting than it actually is. So I thought that the idea was that Sin City was this corrupting place. I thought in the same way that Silent Hill 2, the video game, this place Silent Hill. It's not just a place, and I thought they were going to, without giving anything away, I thought they were going to expand on that. But it's not. It's just a depressing and corrupt place full of comic book monsters. It's just a horrible take on an American city with heavy comic book inflections, where bad stuff happens, and because we don't relate to any of these deeply inhuman characters, it all seems rather alien, and I frankly have little engagement or interest in what's going on. Put it simply, I don't care what happens, and that's a bad thing. Well, actually, I say that, but I really dislike what happens to the female characters. Both Innocent Nancy and Strong Gale act very strangely, and very strangely around men, and it's disappointing to see such lazy sexism in 2014. Speaking of which, they use every excuse to go to Old Town to see the fetishised prostitutes, an area of the city where the prostitutes run the area there, the sort of the criminal element. So it's an excuse to have hot women holding machine guns and sort of looking like they're about to orgasm, and this happens throughout, and just in case, so the plot, almost everything goes through Old Town in some way. And then even when they're not in Old Town, every now and again they'll have, I hired this woman from Old Town and she's a sexy nurse or a sexy nun or a sexy... And yes, it gets very tiring. And it's sort of, maybe you won't notice how bad the script or the plot are if we just have some more sexy ladies. And also, they, for whatever reason, they seem to link everything that goes wrong or bad to Senator O'Rourke, who's this rubbish baddie, or the farm, which is, a farm and, fine. So I sort of thought that Sin City was a malevolent and corrupting place. And all that sounds quite interesting, but we get little of that. Mostly, it just seems to be this O'Rourke guy, and, removing him from power would actually remove 90% of this city's massive problems, but he sort of goes, and, okay, all right, and he does bad things to people, although in a lot of instances, they sort of knew he was going to do bad things to them, and they just sort of carried on anyway. I don't really get it. So, meh. So, I mean, for example, we keep being told that the character Marv is mad. He's mad and he's a psychopath, but he always does the right thing. He always makes the good option. So even if he tortures people, at times we get the impression he's confused whether he's torturing the right person, but not once does he torture someone and then realise that he's just having a mad episode and they're innocent. He always tortures the bad guys, and it always gets useful information. It always serves some kind of positive purpose, which completely negates the point of that. Spoiler alert from the first film, Hartigan, who is the sort of good cop, he's dead and watching Nancy as a ghost, and this is pathetic, really. It doesn't work at all. It's really stupid and slightly confusing, actually. Really stupid. It doesn't work at all. Don't know why they did that. Yes. Due to the time delay between 2005 and 2014 or 13, whenever this was shot, the actors all look substantially older. I thought the best thing in the first film was the character Kevin, but he's pretty much gone now, and frankly there was nothing more to be done or said with his character anyway, so I'm glad they didn't bring it back. So to sum up, it's a one-trick pony trying to do the same thing again and hoping you don't notice. It's nasty, it's stupid, it's sexist, and it's lazy. It's style over substance, except the style isn't very good either, and you will quickly tire of the style. Not a good film on any level. Kind regards, Christopher Thomas.